it's Cherrien. Welcome back, or welcome to my channel if you're new. I feel like it's been a hot minute since we chatted about books, and I just got through all the books on my summer reading list, and I know you've been wanting a review on all of them, so here we are. I tried not to give too much away in between vlogs this summer because I wanted to do a dedicated video for all of these books, and I didn't want this to be just a re-edit of all the things I've already said in my daily vlogs. Minor disclaimer, I don't know if you could tell already, but my voice is not the way it usually is, or at least I feel like it's not usually the way it is because I recently got COVID, hence the little unexpected hiatus on this channel. Got COVID for the first time ever in my life. Physically, I've downgraded a little bit. Like, I don't feel too hot. I may have to take little breaks in between just this video alone. So yeah, that's why I haven't been as active as much on this channel or on my Instagram. So please bear with me. I may space out here and there during the whole of this video because it's been a while since I filmed anything and I feel very much out of practice. But yeah, let's get started. I'll give you all my recent life updates in another vlog, which I'm pretty sure is going to come after this one. So okay, let's get to the books. Just a few personal remarks about how I felt about the storyline, about what went on through these pages, what I took from it, what I enjoyed most about it, would I read another book by the same author, and so on. So the first book of my summer this year was Second Place by Rachel Cusk. In short, it's a story about a woman, aka our narrator slash main character, and she invites this artist whose work she's been admiring for quite some time to come stay with her and her husband for a while in their little cottage residence in this marsh, because recently they've built a second place built right by where they reside, and things don't go the way she anticipated. I think she was feeling a little trapped. She was having like this midlife crisis and existential crisis of sorts. I think she thought she was gonna find some form of liberty by being near this said artist, and by connecting with this invited stranger, she felt that she may find some sort of validation for her existence. Like her outline trilogy, she briefly touches on her thoughts on motherhood, and one of the things that she writes about made me run over to ask my mom if she had ever felt this way. We think we know our own mothers only to read something like this and realize we actually don't know anything at all about them, about what it's like being in their shoes. Also had a shit ton of revelations while reading this one, felt really seen by it. I was born a very sensitive soul growing up. It's what I've always been told. I get stimulated super easily, and I feel like the narrator was the same way. There's this part where it says, I said to him that Second Place pretty much summed up how I felt about myself and my life. I could never win. So pretty much circles back to her having this identity crisis of herself and her life and her being. Yeah, I think that little segment pretty much sums up this entire book and the entire character. I feel like I am not really done with this book, although I've finished it, I've underlined it, I've marked it. Think I'm gonna be coming back to it. After Second Place, I went to the bookstore. This wasn't on my initial list. I got it sometime during June, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, and it's a super short one. It's by Keegan, author of Small Things Like These, which I haven't read yet, by the way. It's set in rural Ireland. A little girl is sent to live with her relatives for a while. It's hinted that her family doesn't quite have the means to support her and take care of her and her siblings during her mother's pregnancy, so she is sent to her aunts and uncles, I think, until her mom has the baby, and she forms a special bond with them throughout her time there, and it's a bond that she never really felt with her own parents. I think she, for the first time, gets what it's like to feel protected and taken care of the way a child should be by an adult. And she just feels really safe for the first time in her life. I feel like this book would be better taken in as a film. The setting itself, I feel like, would be so beautiful cinematically, like the marshes, the greens of Ireland, that whole ambiance, I feel like would be very much appreciated through a screen. Yeah, if ever in the future they make a film adaptation of this, you can bet I will be sat in the front row, and it'll definitely make me cry, and it'll definitely be an A24 film, I feel like. So the next book I read was Mieko, Kawakami's Breasts and Eggs. This one went by pretty quickly as well. For me, novels are generally easier to get through because you're always interested to see what's next in the plot. And surprisingly with this one, I couldn't really relate or see things in the eyes of the main character. I felt like anyone but the main narrator was a pretty interesting character. I don't want to hate on a book, and I'm not. I don't hate this book, but it just wasn't what I expected. It was very anticlimactic, especially the first part of this book. It's split into two parts, and the first part ends on a really note. There was like a certain climax in the first part, and I expected more from the resolution, but yeah, it fizzed out. If I'm being honest, I think I kind of lost interest after that point. I did finish it though. I had no problem going through it. It didn't make me want to stop reading it. There's a whole lot of things going on in this book, but the main subjects I think are just single motherhood, pregnancy, female existence. Honestly, I don't think I'm ever going to be at that age where I feel like I should be married or I should have kids. It's not something I ever really thought about just ever in my life. I don't think I'll ever feel guilty about not reproducing. That's not the way I'm wired, which is probably the main reason why I don't think I particularly related to any of what this character was going through. But aside from that, the book does introduce some interesting side characters. I don't not recommend this book. I think it's worth a read, but it's not my favorite. And the next book I started reading was Getting Lost. I mentioned this so many times in my vlog. I feel like this was the book I was reading in every single one of those videos. And confession, I actually still haven't finished it yet. I think this is the only book that I haven't finished out of my entire reading list, not because I didn't like it, but this reads extremely slow. I feel like if you're a diehard, just a hardcore Annie Ernaux fan, then this is gonna be it for you, but as it turns out, I'm not such a diehard fan. I'm just a regular casual fan, and so yeah. Don't really have anything else to say about this one, mostly because I haven't finished it yet. I can't really make up my mind about it until I'm through with it. Let's put a hold on what I think about this one. Because Getting Lost was going by so slow, in between I read a couple other books, and one of them was Exteriors by Annie Ernaux again. It's just her observance of the strangers and the people of Paris, of the city of Paris, She's observing herself through those people. It's a really peaceful, quiet read. I highly recommend this one. I actually think I might like this better than Simple Passion. In 60 years' time, everything that I have seen, loved, and enjoyed may have disappeared, replaced by a stack of printed pages to be consulted only for some obscure thesis. With that one segment, this book suddenly became a sacred archive, an artifact almost of that place in time, and it kind of made me think about my own videos. Through documenting these little videos, it feels like I've preserved a piece of time in my life. It made me love Ernaux all over again. While we take a break, I just want to give a quick thanks to Squarespace. If you don't know, Squarespace is an all-in-one platform that allows anyone to successfully create their unique presence online. Having a digital space to express your identity and promote your business is so beneficial, no matter which field you're in. And with so many beautiful templates to choose from, creating a website that matches your brand has never felt easier. Whether you're selling physical products, special services, or even creating an online portfolio, Squarespace is here to help. And if you ever have any questions along the way, their 24-hour support and analytics are here to assist. So if you've been thinking of creating your own website this summer, test things around with your free trial, then when you're ready to launch, you could of course head over to squarespace.com/Cherrien to get 10% off your first purchase of a domain or website. Sorry if there's a whirring noise in the background. It was getting a little too hot in here, so I turned on the AC. I somehow managed to start this back in February and ended up finishing it now. I think I read like a couple pages and stopped, so I just went back and started over again. The way he writes and the way he sets the entire mood, every word, every space, every dot seems so intentional, and I don't think I've ever read a book quite like this. And at the same time, it was also entertaining as hell. It has so much angst, like the pining and the yearning. I love how this book just jumps back and forth between the past and the present. It kind of keeps you on your toes a little bit. I don't want to give too much away because I feel like you really have to read this to really love it. One thing I will say though is the main character basically is denying his sexuality, and by doing that, he is not only hurting himself, but he's hurting everyone involved with him. His fiance, his lover, who are not the same people by the way. I don't think it'd be fair to be calling him selfish for doing that, but rather I think he was just really scared. This book is also set in Paris. It would have been nicer if I knew like which places, which spots in Paris he was talking about, but I didn't, and I had to just try to imagine them. But yeah, there's a lot of French words in here which reminded me that I need to start picking up on my French lessons again. I've completely abandoned my studying, by the way, so although I did enjoy this, it made me feel really guilty at the same time. I nearly cried towards the end. Like, my heart was breaking for Giovanni, and I was hating the main character a little bit. And I also felt bad for his fiance. I wish there was a spin-off, but with his fiance as the main character. I would love to know her point of view and her side of the story. You know, if she ever got over the main character, if she ever ended up believing in love again, because if that happened to me, I don't think I'd ever really get over that. I mean, I'd obviously would understand, but I would definitely feel betrayed. I'd develop some extreme trust issues for sure. The White Book by Han Gang. This is actually the English version. It's a translated version of the original Korean book. Although I am pretty fluent in Korean, I have no problems with it at all actually. I could speak Korean fine, but when it comes to reading books, I'm still more comfortable with English. I somehow still really can't fully appreciate a book if it's not in English. Like, I could probably get through it, but I don't think I would be able to fully understand or read in between the lines or anything like that. But this one, it did make me want to go grab the original version of it, because I feel like some of the translated bits are a little awkward. Like, I can't really make it out, and I have the feeling that it may be because it is translated. So yeah, maybe sometime later I will go to the bookstore and grab the original copy. I think this book touches on life and death and grief in a very beautiful, poetic way. It's not really a summer book per se, but I did have a good time reading it. Next book I read, Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. This one was by far the most casual read. It's light, it's funny, it feels like the adult version of that one movie. I forgot the title, but something Angus, Thongs, and Perfect Snogging. Yeah. At the beginning of this book, it just reminded me of that movie. Before reading this, I thought this was gonna be more about like love, like romantic love, but it's actually more about friendship, the love you have for all your girlfriends. Although I would never enforce my views on anybody else, for me personally, I do tend to put my friends before my own love life. I'm actually scared and terrified of romance, but that is a topic for another day. But yeah, I thought that this was a really beautiful book, and it just reminds me how special all our friendships are, and how in a way the love we share for our friends is also a type of romantic love. And sometimes I feel like people take that for granted, because genuine friendship is hard to come by. No friend is just gonna come up to you one day and introduce themselves like, hey, I'm just gonna be with you for the rest of your life, so get used to it. No one's gonna come up to you like that, but their friendship just slowly creeps your way into your life, and that is also pretty beautiful. Like, the way you don't immediately know that person is gonna be with you for life, but somewhere down the line you realize that you will probably never ever be able to live without them. This book also touches on what it's like entering your 30s, which no matter how feminist you are, no matter how modern you say you are, deep down I think every girl is scared to turn 30. And I think that's really unfair. I feel like that's something that's so embedded into our thoughts in our brains by society, that even though we know that it's completely ridiculous and it's completely wrong, you can't not be scared. And everyone has different reasons to be scared to turn 30, and yet everyone is embarrassed by the same reasons for feeling that. And yeah, I can't say for a fact that I am not scared for my 30s, but I'm really glad that we live in a day and age that there are people telling us that being 30 is no big deal. So yeah, that was everything on my summer reading list. Sorry if this was a little all over the place. Hoping I get back to my regular self by next week. I just wanted to show you a few books that I'm currently reading, and one of them is Agua, Viva by Clarice Lispector. I don't know where I first saw this book. I think it may have been Pinterest or Instagram. Don't remember. It is probably one of those two, but I am in love. I honestly feel like this is one of those books that hold entirely different meanings depending on who's reading it, process, what she's trying to say within her somewhat abstract form of writing. Yeah, I'm in awe of this. It feels like I'm almost hallucinating a little, like being in a lucid dream. It's like an abstract painting, but in the form of words, which you wouldn't really get unless you actually read it for yourself. And another book I'm reading is one by Olivia Laing. I was in a little artsy mood and I remembered that I got this last year and I never ended up reading it. Recently I had to write something about my artwork for this thing that I'm preparing for. Hopefully it'll inspire me to write down a few words of my own artwork. As an artist, that's the hardest part for me. I feel like I'm not really that articulate and I'm not that good at explaining my art. I feel like I've been sleep talking this whole time. Yeah. Since I've been sick for the whole of this month, I feel like it flipped by really quickly, like almost too quickly. August slipped away like a bottle of wine for real. I just want you to know I haven't abandoned you guys. I haven't abandoned this channel. I just physically can't these days. I have a few major life updates to share with you guys. I'm pretty sure you've gotten spoilers of it through my Instagram already, but yeah, stay tuned for the next vlog, and thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys had a wonderful summer this year. Hope the rest of your summer goes great too, and I will see you in the next vlog.